Hari Om. We are now dealing with mantra 9 today of section 2 of chapter 2. Now, let me chant the mantra first. Hiranmaye pare koshe virajam brahma nishkalam tat shubhram jyotisham jyoti tadyatmano vidyadudu. Tat shubhram jyotisham jyoti tadyat atma vido vidu. This is the narration of the mantra. Now, the literal meaning of this is the stainless, viraja, stainless, indivisible Atman, Nishkalam, the pure virajam, the light of all lights, Jyotisham Jyoti, light of all lights, is in the innermost sheath of a golden hue. Tad Shubhram Hiranmaye Pare Koshe. This is the literal translation of the mantra. Now, we will try and get into the little bit of explanation on this. Now, this mantra and the next two mantras, total 3 of them, constitute the conclusion of chapter 2 of Mundaka Upanishad, and hence we will find in these 3 mantras a gist of what has been conveyed through earlier mantras in carefully chosen phrases and words, to ensure that the theme is embedded in the mind of the sadhaka. The state of pure awareness or consciousness is indicated here as stainless, indivisible, pure, light of lights, etc., etc. And that it is situated in the golden hue of the Panchakosha. Stainless and purity, viraja, is to convey that the Supreme is not defiled by any dust or dirt of the body, mind and intellect level. None of the modifications or vrittis of the body, mind and intellect affect the Supreme at all, and therefore they are free from the defilings of the body, mind and intellect. The tragedies of the dreamer do not affect the peace of the waker. Think. The tragedies of the dreamer do not at all affect the peace of the waker, man who is in the waking state of consciousness. If there is a deposit of dirt or filth on the reflected sun in the pond, it is not that the sun is dirty and filthy, but the embodiment in which it shines is dirty and filthy. Me, the self, reflected in a mirror, carefully, the me which is reflected in the mirror become abnormal or subnormal in my image, depending on whether I am reflected in a concave or a convex mirror. Is it not? The effect do not defile the cause. Now the word indivisible denotes that the supreme self or the reality or the truth cannot be divided into parts and pieces. It is indivisible. It is just a mass of oneness. The space, let us say, is a reality and is not divided. The space that we see. That's a maximum example that I can show you of vastness. There's nothing vaster than the space. And the space is indivisible. It is not divided. But we build 4 walls at a chosen geographical area and apparently divide the space to limit the master space to a Madhakasha. The Mahakasha becomes the Madhakasha because of the 4 walls that I created. Again, in the Madhakasha, in the room space, I build a pot and further limit the Madhakasha space into a Ghadakasha, a pot space. So the great space I have divided by building 4 walls and made it a house space, the room space. And the room space I further divided it by creating a pot and made the pot space. In all this process, the Mahakasha, the space is indivisible. It is undivided. In all these stupid egocentric exercises, the space outside the Mahaspace always remained a Mahaspace and not affected by your Madha or Ghada. As simple as that. Now it is also indicated that it is the light of all lights. The Atman, the Self, the Supreme, the Reality, is the light of all lights. We have earlier examined this aspect. The microcosmic personality and the macrocosmic personality, that is the Vishyam and the Virat, that aspect you have seen. The total light is a Virat light. What is the total electricity of my town? The electricity of my bulb, his bulb, her bulb, 100 bulbs put together. This tube light, that refrigerator, this fan, all equipments put together, that total energy is the energy of the town. Similarly, the energy of the nation. The light illuminating my BMI in my little personality is called Vishwan, and the sum total of light illuminating all the bodies, all the minds and all the intellects in the world is called Virat. That is where you see that Vishwarupa of Lord Vishnu. 1,000 heads he has got. 1,000 heads meaning head of all heads. 1,000 means not 9,999 plus 1. It means many. Poets have got that freedom. When Wordsworth in Daffodil says, 10,000 saw I at a glance, did he count them? Or is it there are thousands of people when we say, do we count them? It's an expression to indicate plurality. Therefore, the total heads, the total bodies, the total mind and the total intellect of this world is represented by that 1,000 heads, 1,000 hands, 1,000 legs, etc., etc. That's a representation, a graphic representation of a deeper philosophical meaning. The cosmic Purusha is called Virat, the individual is called Vishwa. Hence, the Rishi says that he is the light of all lights. Is it not? The illuminator of the body, illuminator of the mind, illuminator of the intellect. It's the very same light that illuminates all objects, emotions and thoughts. And therefore, that illuminator of these illuminators is nothing but the light of all lights. It's a poetic expression. Jyotisham abhi tad jyoti tamasa paramuchyate. 13th chapter, Bhagavad Gita. The light of all lights beyond darkness. Tamasa paramuchyate. Now we have to examine one phrase in this mantra carefully. The very first phrase, Hiranmaye Pare Koshe, means the golden sheath, the highest. That is the meaning of it. Pare Koshe, highest. Hiranmaye, the golden sheath. We will examine what it is. Now we have to examine what is gold, what is sheath. Now for the purpose of, let us say, philosophical study and for a graphic representation to the sadhak, it is stated that our personality, the I that you are referring to, may be said to have been grooved by 5 sheaths or covers, as it were. The I, which you and I refer to as I, is represented as a big cover into which, that like the telescopic, it goes a higher one, the smaller one goes into a higher one, then the smaller than that goes to a smaller one, then you pull out everything, the whole thing comes out, telescopic, type of representation. So these are called 5 sheaths, which are concentric circles of pure matter. All those are matters, all the sheaths are matters. As long as the energy do not touch it or does not kiss it, it is pure and simple, inert, insentient matter. A beautiful pictorial representation of the spirit enveloped by the matter. The supreme energy in the cave of your heart is enveloped by or somased by matter. The physical body is the most powerful attraction for a majority of us who believe that there is nothing nobler than the body. And like Mr. X quoting the scriptures, and shout that Sharira Madhyam Khalu Dharma Sadhanam. Body is very, very important. Body is first, the rest is next. The body is indeed born out of what? Born out of the food, that is intake of you, and that keeps on growing due to the intake of more and more food. The food that your parents have taken is what you are in the embryo, and when you come out, the food that you take makes you grow and grow. Isn't it? Ultimately, therefore, the body, yes, the body, therefore, is a sum total of food, nothing but food. If you analyze it chemically, physically, it is nothing but food. It is born out of food and keeps you growing in food, depending upon the intake of your food. And ultimately, when perished, when this is gone, the air has gone, the vital air has gone, the prana has gone, the essence has gone, the sat has gone. That is why in Tamil we say Sattu Pochi. The Sat has gone. So when it is perished, what happens? It becomes again food. Only thing, food for others, not food for thought. It becomes food for others. So when carefully analyzed, the body is constituted of the skin, the flesh, the blood, the bones, the marrow, etc., etc., etc. And the container made up of these materials is filled with fecal matter. All these dirty and filthy materials together constitute this fascinating and enchanting my body. And this is what we say, I am. This body, which is made of food and nothing but the food, it is full of food, constitutes the frontal sheath of our personality. That is the grossest, the first sheath, the first cover as it were, which is external in nature, is this food sheath termed as Annamaya Kosha. Annamaya means full of Anna. It's called Annamaya Kosha. It is this pack of filth and dirt that we identify with us and call it as I. How foolish! How foolish! And as I mentioned to you, this is the grossest of the sheets in our personality. Now this Annamaya Kosha, the body itself is lifeless, inert. In the physical body, it is inert. What gives it life is the prana, the vital air. It provides life to all this dirty stuff that you have inside. This element of vital air is seated inside the food sheath, Annamaya Kosha. It is seated right in the center of the food sheath and is called as Pranamaya Kosha. Pranamaya Kosha. It is the vital air that provides you life. The vital air sheath, you can call it. Okay. Now the mind with its sense centers constitute the next sheath called the mental sheath or Manomaya Kosha. Our sense organs of the body with prana cannot fully perceive the objects and emotions. And when the mind flows through the sense organs and reaches an object of experience, say an elephant, we have an experience of an elephant. This the prana itself cannot do. The mind has to recognize the presence of an elephant, and the mischievous mind then commands the sense organs of action and directs the legs towards the elephant, and the hands are ordered to touch its tail. All this is the vritti of the mind. It is not the vritti of the body by itself. It is not the vritti of the prana by itself. It is prompted, guided, ordered, controlled by the mind. It is the mind that orders the sense organs to see. Having seen the sense organs, it orders the sense organs of action, the karmendriyas, to move forward with the leg to the elephant. All these orders and obedient orders and discharge of duties thereof in our personality administration happens in a split of a second. They don't wait for the file to come. Not like government offices. Let the file come, I will see and then sign. No. The moment you see an elephant, the leg rushes because the mind has already given direction to the leg. Go near it. Not only that, you go near it, half the way, go from behind the elephant. Then the leg takes a turn, left turn, and goes behind the elephant. And as he reaches the elephant, the mind says, lift your hands and touch the tail of the elephant. Is there a greater stupidity than this? To touch the elephant tail from its behind? It gets very angry. Very soon, the very legs that was ordered to move towards the elephant will now be told by the mind to get away from it because the elephant is making some noise. See how the mind and its mischief works. Like Shakespeare said, "O mischief, thou art afoot, take thou course thou wilt." See? Mind has got a mischievous plan of action. So the mind and its activities are seated and operated from the inner chambers of the Pranamaya Kosha, which is inside Annamaya Kosha. So Annamaya Kosha first, inside the Annamaya Kosha you have Pranamaya Kosha, inside the Pranamaya Kosha you have Manomaya Kosha. Now the next sheet is Vijnanamaya Kosha, the storehouse of intelligence, the knowledge kosha, the knowledge sheath. It is here that the tendency of I-ness and my-ness develops, and therefore it creates and grows a dangerous ego in that sheath. It is therefore termed as Vijnanamaya Kosha. And this intellectual sheath is seated inside the Manomaya Kosha. The final sheath, the fifth sheath, is called Anandamaya Kosha. The corner that provides you the experience of happiness or pleasure or bliss beyond the intellect. There is a kosha called Anandamaya Kosha. So the five koshas once more please: the body, the pranas, the mind, the intellect and bliss. Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. When we thus experience a sense of joy or happiness or bliss, we dwell in this bliss sheath or Anandamaya Kosha. Now from one kosha to the other kosha you can travel. There is no COVID restriction. From one district, it is not green district and red district. You can travel, no passport required, no police verification required. So whenever you are experiencing joy, pleasure, happiness, so far you have identified yourself with the body. Now you leave the body, leave the mind, leave the intellect and go and seat it in the sofa that is provided to you in the bliss sheath. The moment you feel agitated and you are not comfortable, you come back to the intellectual sheath with Manomaya Kosha. There also you are not happy. Come to the Manomaya Kosha. And ultimately you come to the Annamaya Kosha, where you think a sumptuous meal will provide you good happiness. You take the meal, then suddenly again rush back to Anandamaya Kosha. For what? For a temporary stay of 1 hour. See how we are buffeted up and down? And this Anandamaya Kosha, therefore, see how logically the rishis have built up the concept. This Anandamaya Kosha, and to all these koshas, the energy that is lent is that supreme energy which is in the cave of your heart. It has nothing to do with Anandamaya Kosha, the happiness that you experience, the ego that you experience, the life that you experience in the body, the joy that you experience while eating some sambar. This is none of his concern. It is you and your experience. And that is seated where? That is seated in the center of your heart, the cave of your heart. Nihitam guhayam. And that is the nearest, what do you call this? Anandamaya Kosha is the nearest to that self, the reality. The next step is there. One step you take, you are there. That is a boundary. That is where you need a passport of sadhana, a passport of discipline, a passport of, what shall I say, determination and fortitude. Yet, it is just one wall, just the next room. And therefore, the bliss or Anandamaya Kosha is closest to the Supreme Self, centered in the heart. Therefore, the Rishi is calling it as Hiranmaya Parakosha, the sheath of golden hue. This Anandamaya Kosha is called as the golden sheath, Hiranmaya. Gold is used here figuratively, not that it is a bar of gold. Like you say, golden situation. The situation is not gold. A golden opportunity, etc. So the golden Anandamaya Kosha means you are closest to Atman, the reality. So this is how the 5 koshas are divided into. And in the next mantra, the Rishi explains to you the glory of that great effulgence in you. And the next mantra is a mantra, a very, very important mantra in the Upanishad, which I would recommend you have to learn by heart. Those of you who do not know, I'm sure some of you know it. And this is a very, very important mantra. Tomorrow's class, we will try and take up this tomorrow. Hari Om.